Welcome to your daily dose of theological German. We are on installment number 8 of A. Schlatter's The Evangelist John, and we're picking this excerpt up, as I keep saying, from Ziefle's Graded Reader. So that's where you probably want to follow along if you're trying to. Let's get to today's sentence. It's a pretty easy one. This judgment, or you might say opinion here in this case, let's see, accuses the Jew and excuses him at the same time. So a couple of things to note here. So there's a few things I can review here, but I want to just focus in for a second on cases and identifying nouns and things and how they are fitting in the sentence. And so the first thing I want to look at here is den Juden. Now this is, in this case, I translated it as, and it should be, an accusative singular masculine. And so you can see if you look at the full paradigm here that den Juden is in fact the accusative for a masculine singular. However, you will also notice that it is the dative plural. And the thing is, verbs will sometimes take dative objects. And so, I mean, unless you've looked up this verb and you know that it can't for some reason, you wouldn't have any initial immediate reason to not think that this could be a plural, right? So it could say this opinion accuses the Jews. You could actually think you might want to translate that plural. And actually, there's no reason up to that point in the sentence why you would be wrong. It really could be either or. There's no demand that it has to be one or the other. The reason why you know it's singular is because in the second clause you have this pronoun, and this is also accusative, and it's the object of this verb, right? And so this is giving this kind of like simultaneous action. It accuses and also excuses him at the same time. And so because that is a singular accusative pronoun and you know it's parallel to and picking up actually this referent, then you know that has to be singular. And so that's how you arrive at that in the sentence. But it's important to realize that sometimes the actual morphology of just a given word by itself can be ambiguous. It's not, you have to look at the whole context of the whole sentence and just make the best choice you can. And even then, it could remain ambiguous. If the sentence had actually just ended after the first clause and you translated it plural, you would be just as right, except for in previous sentences, you know you've been dealing with the Jew in the singular as kind of an abstract referent. And so, again, context is king there. But all of that is to say, pay attention to what's going on with the cases and the numbers and so forth, and you can work with the verbs and etc. Whatever you got to do to try to get the right sense. The other thing I want to point out is you will notice here that there is a separable verb, and so when I translated that, I just sort of flew past it pretty quickly, but it's important to pay close attention to, and that is you have here klagt, but then you have an down here. When you get to a preposition and there's nothing after it except the end of the clause, which in this case it is, I mean you have und, which is a conjunction, tells you you're moving on to a new clause, then you know you're dealing probably with a separable verb, because otherwise that preposition should have a object of some kind. And in other separable verbs, the separable component may not even be a preposition at all, and so then you would know also that it was a separable verb. But in this case, it's also a preposition, but you just have to know that when you see that you're looking actually at the verb anklagen. And so when you're looking this up in the dictionary, that's what you want to look up. And it's really important that you get this because, and this is a good example, sometimes the meaning is close enough that you don't get totally thrown off. But in this case, if you look up klagen, you will notice that it means to moan or to wail or to cry. And like just, I mean, try to put that in the context here, right? This opinion cries the Jew. Like, what? No, that's clearly, I mean, maybe laments the Jew, I guess, like inside, but you would need a context that would make sense of that. And so even contextually, you should know something is up. And when you get to that separable thing, you realize, ah, yes. And when you look up anklagen, then you notice to charge or to accuse, like it's all, I mean, you can sort of see semantically how if you were to lament at somebody, does that mean you're accusing? Like you can see semantically how there's some connection, right? But really, you just need to look up the right verb, and the meaning is quite different in this case, and so you want to make sure you get it right. So anyways, hopefully that is helpful to you. As always, thank you for watching, and please do subscribe and like and do everything that will help us to get these videos in front of the right audience on YouTube. And we'll see you tomorrow.